So let's fucking talk about it. And today we're going to talk about the United States and Israel. And for those of you that don't understand that the United States is now being occupied by Israel, I want you to take that in for a moment. And I'm going to explain how I know this to be true. Why is it that some states are now making laws to where it is illegal to boycott Israel? You got to ask yourself, why do they need to do that? Why do they need to do that? To make American laws to where you cannot boycott Israel. Donald Trump now says that any state that allows its constituents to protest against Israel, that he's going to take away any kind of federal funding to that state, any kind of disaster relief to that state. If we're not occupied, then why would Donald Trump say these things? Israel does not offer anything to the United States. I know the United States has claimed that, Israel is supposedly its number one ally, but what exactly has Israel done for the United States versus what the United States has done for Israel? Ask yourself this. Research it. Because what I found out about my own research is this. Israel is not what people believe. Israel is a terrorist, demonic state. That's my opinion of them. And the reason why I say that is because of the way that that state was erected. Literally, Palestinian people came after the Holocaust, or some people call it the Holocaust. But I digress. These Jewish people came here during the time after the Second World War, and Palestinian people took them in as refugees, took them in because they felt bad for them, because they'd just been through something so horrific, right? They took these people into their homes, fed them, clothed them, took care of them while they were in their homes. And then one day, these people went to work, right? Talking about the Palestinian people, they went to work and came back to their homes. And guess what? The locks were changed. They weren't allowed in their own homes no more, and they were told to move on. And if they didn't, there was a soldier there to make sure that they did. And none of these Palestinian people that were forced out of their homes and off their land were offered any kind of compensation. None. They just told them, move on. Go look for somewhere else to live. And then they did. And then guess what happened? Again, the Israeli state of Israel pushed the borders. That's why they have no borders. Because they plan to take over the whole entire territory. Both in Syria, Iran, and so forth. Again, with absolutely no compensation for them stealing not only their land and their homes, but also their businesses. Just took them over. Took over everything. And they kept pushing the people and pushing the people and pushing the people. For 76 years. This is what's been going on. These so-called land grabs. Where people who are Jewish move over to the occupied territory and further push more Palestinian people off their lands and out of their homes, and destroying their businesses and destroying the sacred olive tree. But yet they're supposed to be our allies, right? But did you know over Easter, one of the most religious holidays there is for Christianity, did you know the last remaining Christian church in Bethlehem was not even allowed to be open because the Israeli government said no? You're talking the birthplace of Christ. And the Israeli government said, no, you can't come here. This church is closed. The way they treat Christians over there, spit on them. I want you all to educate yourself into their Bible. In their Bible, they're saying that Jesus Christ is literally in the fiery shithole. They call people who are not, Jewish Goyans. And in their book, it's okay to rape a child who is not Goyan as long as she's under the age of 9. And you wonder where pedophilia comes from? Were you aware that here in the United States, if you're Jewish, right, or not, because it doesn't really matter to them, you get convicted of raping somebody, you can flee over there and they'll welcome you. But remember, over there, when you get there, I also want you to keep this in mind as well. And this is what I'm going to talk about, is federal money. Federal money, $3.8 billion is sent over to Israel annually every year. That's federal money sent over there. That's not including state money, because some states send money there too. And then there's some states that force the cities and towns to send money as well. In fact, there was a town in Texas, forgive me for forgetting the name of the town, but there was a very small town of maybe 12,000 people, right? And they were having a bad road situation. So they went over all of their budgeting for the town, and they found out that that town sent $4 million to Israel every year. $4 million of that small town money goes to Israel. And when they decided, like, hey, you know what? They came together, they had a vote to say, you know what? We're not going to do that no more. And then the governor of Texas said, no, you can't do that. You're going to send that money to them. You cannot say no. That's what I mean by occupied here in the United States. When you've got American governors and other officials forcing Americans to pay money to Israel, I have a problem with that. Especially when Israel, with the money that we send over there, they've got universal health care. They've got free housing. They got free education in college. Right? And just remember, that doesn't mean that they'll pay for college just there in Israel. So if they decide to go to another country and go to college in another country, they pay for it. Meanwhile, here in the United States, we don't have any of those things. We don't have universal health care. We don't have all around free housing, except unless you're under government housing, like Section 8 or low income housing goes according to your income. That's not what we call free housing. Over there, they got free housing without having to have low income. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind. But over here, we don't have those things. Over here, we have problems getting our roads fixed, our infrastructure fixed, because we're literally sending Israel all this money. And for what? What do we get? Zero. But you want to know how Israel feels about the United States? Well, let's take it back to the USS Liberty, right? Where Israel tested the loyalty of the United States to see if, in fact, we were on the hook, right? They bombed the USS Liberty. They knew it was a United States ship because there are United States flag that were flying high, clearly able to be seen. But it didn't matter. Israel bombed that ship just to see what the United States was going to do about it. Were they going to retaliate, or were they going to suck it up because we'd already started being occupied? Guess what happened? They got away with it. And they told the men on that ship, oh, it was an accident. They didn't know who you were. When the men on that ship knew exactly what happened. And it is not the way the United States government and Israel portrayed it at all. And every day since that day, we've been further and further and further occupied by Israel. Y'all need to wake up to these things. Because Whether you choose to believe it or not, I want you to take a look. I want you to take a look at every single senator, congressman, anybody that's got dual citizenship between the United States and Israel, because that is occupancy. I don't care. I don't think you should have dual citizenship and be able to work in governing like that, especially when you have a terrorist state like Israel, where these people are making laws here. We are occupied, people, and you all need to wake up to that fact. It's no longer time to lay silent. If you do not see what everybody else see, you are willfully blind and willfully ignorant, and you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem that are literally stripping the United States citizens away from their rights. Because before long, we are going to be the ones who are going to reap what we sow. Because we're continuing to allow these people that are on the top 1% rule everything. And we are letting evil Zionists take over. Silence is complicity. And I'll be goddamned if I'm going to stay silent. And I hope that you don't stay silent too. Said what the fuck I said.